The morning sun rested gently over Redwood Hills, a quiet, upper-class California suburb where the lawns were always trimmed, the streets always clean, and the silence always suspicious. It was the kind of silence that reminded people like Elias Ward that they didn't belong here. Not anymore. Elias walked with his shoulders slightly hunched, a faded army backpack pulled tightly against his spine. His boots, more worn than the rest of him, hit the pavement with a familiar rhythm that echoed discipline he couldn't unlearn. He had slept behind a hardware store the night before. Another night of stiff cold and stubborn nightmares. But none of that mattered. He had a job interview today, nothing glamorous. A warehouse position, but it was enough to pull him forward. As he passed the manicured hedges and tall white pillars of expensive homes, he felt the invisible wall between worlds, the world of people who had something, and the world of people who'd lost too much. Up ahead, he noticed a house unlike the others, bigger, wider, almost intimidating in how casually wealthy it appeared. Floor-to-ceiling windows, stone driveways, a tall metallic gate that hummed softly. Even from a distance, Elias could feel the money radiating from it. The home of Gabriel Cross, millionaire tech investor, public genius, private ghost. Elias didn't know any of that. All he knew was that something felt off. The gate stood half open. The air was strangely still, and from inside the yard came a sound that twisted Elias's stomach in an instant. A muffled, frantic thud, followed by the sharp scrape of something metallic hitting stone. A fight, a struggle, or something worse. His instincts rose before reason could slow them. He scanned the street, empty. The leafy canopy overhead filtered sunlight in broken streaks as he approached the gate. Slow, measured, yet ready. A veteran's gait, a survivor's caution. Then he heard it, a low, pained gasp. Someone was suffocating. Elias didn't think. He moved. He slipped through the gate and followed the sound around the fountain-lined driveway. And there, in the middle of the immaculate stone path, lay a man in an immaculate suit, both hands clawing desperately at the air as a black-clothed figure knelt over him, tightening a garrote around his throat. Elias didn't see the millionaire's face first. He saw the rope. He saw the attacker's grip. He saw death happening in broad daylight. A flash of Afghanistan lightning shot through his memory. Sandstorms, alleyways, ambushes, brothers yelling his name. His pulse surged. His breath sharpened. Then he was moving. Hey! Elias roared, charging forward. The attacker jerked his head up, startled. A mask hid most of his face, but Elias saw the eyes. Cold, practiced. The man released the garrote and lunged at Elias with a knife. Elias dodged right, the blade slicing the air near his ribs. He grabbed the attacker's wrist, twisted, and drove his elbow into the man's jaw. Years of training and instinct moved through him like muscle memory he couldn't turn off. Another hit, a shove. Gravel scraping. The attacker stumbled back, regained footing, then sprinted toward the side gate. Elias considered chasing him, just for a moment. But then he heard the coughing, the choking, the desperate attempt at breath. He turned. The man on the ground was clutching his throat, eyes bloodshot, face reddened. Expensive watch, designer shoes, and a terrified stare that looked strangely human beneath all the wealth. Elias dropped to his knees. Sir, stay with me. You're okay, he said, though he wasn't sure of it. The man struggled to speak. As someone, he tried. Don't talk. Breathe slow, Elias said, checking his pulse. Strong enough. Panic more than damage. Within seconds, more sounds erupted. Alarms, doors slamming, feet pounding across polished floors. 3 men in black suits rushed out of the house, weapons drawn. Security. They froze when they saw Elias hovering over their employer. Hands where we can see them. One barked sharply. Elias lifted his hands, jaw tightening. I'm not the one you want. Someone tried to kill him. He ran that way. Step back. Another ordered. Elias stepped back, already feeling the familiar burn of being misunderstood. The guards pulled the injured man upright. Mr. Cross, are you hurt? Do you need an ambulance? Mr. Cross, the millionaire. The man whose fortune could buy every house on this street twice over. Gabriel Cross's fingers trembled as he touched the faint red line across his throat. His eyes darted between the guards and Elias's steady, calm expression. "He saved me," Gabriel rasped. He stopped him. The guards paused. Elias lowered his hands. Gabriel looked directly at him, not like a millionaire staring at a nobody, but like a man who'd just been dragged back from death. Gabriel swallowed hard. "Bring him inside." Elias blinked. "What? No, I have somewhere to be." "Cancel it," Gabriel said, voice still shaky but firm. "You just saved my life." The guards exchanged glances. Elias took a cautious step back. "I don't need anything," Elias said. "Just doing what anyone would." "That's not true," Gabriel whispered. "No one else was here." The words landed heavier than the sun on Elias's shoulders. Reluctantly, he followed them into the massive house. Sunlight poured through glass walls, illuminating polished marble floors and silent hallways. Everything felt too clean, too expensive, too far removed from the world Elias lived in. A young assistant rushed over with a tablet in hand. "Sir, the police are on their way." Gabriel raised a hand sharply. "No police." The assistant froze. The guards looked equally surprised. "No police?" Elias repeated, narrowing his eyes. Gabriel avoided his gaze. "Not yet." Elias saw something flicker across Gabriel's expression. Not fear of the attacker, but fear of something else. Something bigger. Something hidden. A secret. Elias shifted cautiously. "Who was that man?" Gabriel didn't answer. Instead, he studied Elias the way someone studies a puzzle piece they didn't expect to find. "You're a soldier," Gabriel said softly. "Not a question." "Was," Elias replied. "And now?" Gabriel asked. "Just trying to get by." Gabriel nodded as if that answer hurt him more than it should have. He stepped closer, lowering his voice so the guards wouldn't hear. "You saved my life, and I don't forget debts." Elias stiffened. "I don't need a reward." "This isn't a reward," Gabriel said. "It's security. For both of us." Both of us. The phrase clung to Elias. It didn't sound like gratitude. It sounded like warning. Before Elias could respond, Gabriel's phone buzzed loudly. The caller ID flashed across the screen. Gabriel paled instantly. The guards noticed. "Sir?" One asked. Gabriel stared at the phone, hands trembling again. "It's too soon," he whispered. "Too soon for what?" Elias watched him, unease creeping up his spine. Something about this rescue, this house, this man, felt wrong. Not evil, but dangerous in ways Elias couldn't yet understand. The phone buzzed again. Gabriel silenced it. Then he looked up at Elias with eyes no longer grateful, but haunted. "I need you to stay close," Gabriel said. "Just for today." Elias's heartbeat drummed harder. "Why?" he asked. Gabriel exhaled shakily. "Because whoever tried to kill me wasn't supposed to try again this quickly." The room fell silent. A breeze from the open window carried the distant hum of daytime traffic, ordinary, peaceful, oblivious. Elias realized he wasn't walking into a simple thank you. He was stepping into a war he didn't understand, and somewhere outside, the attacker, or someone worse, was already planning the next move. And they now knew the name of the man who ruined their first attempt, Elias Ward. The rest of the day unfolded beneath the bright California sun, yet nothing about it felt warm. Elias stood inside Gabriel Cross's gleaming living room, feeling like a shadow out of place among glass walls and million-dollar paintings. Sunlight refracted off polished surfaces, throwing fractured colors across the floor, beauty that only made Elias feel more aware of every frayed thread on his clothes. Gabriel's security team moved like ghosts, whispering into earpieces, checking windows, scanning the perimeter. They didn't look at Elias, not really. They watched him the way you watch a problem you couldn't categorize. Friend, stranger, threat. Gabriel sat near the window, a faint red band still visible around his neck. His fingers rubbed the mark absently, like he couldn't quite believe it happened. Elias watched him from a distance, noting the way the man's composure trembled beneath his expensive suit. For someone who lived in a fortress, Gabriel Cross seemed scared. "Why no police?" Elias asked finally. Gabriel exhaled slowly. "Because this wasn't a random attack. You know who sent him." Gabriel didn't answer at first. He stared at the sprawling city beyond the glass wall, the sun hitting the skyscrapers, the palm trees, the distant highway. a peaceful view hiding an ugly truth. I know who might have, Gabriel said quietly, but confirming it would make things worse. Elias crossed his arms. You almost died today. How could anything be worse than that? Gabriel's jaw clenched. Because the person who wants me gone isn't finished, and involving the police would expose something I've been trying to contain privately. Elias frowned. Contain what? Gabriel looked at him then, really looked. The fear behind his eyes had weight, age, and a story that didn't belong in a sunny California suburb. Before he could answer, a guard stepped forward. Mr. Cross, we need you in the study. There's an update. Gabriel hesitated, then nodded. To Elias he said, come with me. Elias followed them down a hallway lined with paintings that probably cost more than he'd ever earned in his life. They entered a soundproof study with dark wooden walls, large monitors, and a long table covered with files. A guard gestured to the screen. We pulled this from the security feed. The screen replayed the attack. The masked man ambushing Gabriel on the driveway. Elias saw himself sprint into frame, tackling the attacker. But a detail stood out that he hadn't noticed in the chaos. The attacker hadn't panicked when Elias arrived. He smirked, just barely. Just a flicker beneath the mask. Like he expected interference. Like this wasn't supposed to be a clean kill, but a message. Rewind that, Elias said. The guard rewound. There it was, the smirk. A second long. Cold. Confident. Elias felt a chill crawl along his spine. That wasn't the look of someone caught off guard, Elias said quietly. He wanted to be seen. Gabriel nodded slowly. It means the person behind this knows I'd understand the warning. Elias shifted. So you do know who's behind it. Gabriel didn't deny it. Instead, he walked toward a drawer, opened it, and removed a thin file. He placed it on the table. Elias noticed his hands shake as he pushed it forward. Inside were a series of emails, financial documents, and a photograph of a man in a suit, dark hair, sharp eyes, expression carved from ice. His name is Victor Hale, Gabriel said. Former business partner, former friend. Elias scanned the documents. What happened? Gabriel's voice dropped to a whisper that carried more weight than anger. He built an empire with me, then tried to steal it. When I exposed him, he lost billions. He disappeared, but not before sending me a message. Gabriel tapped the photo. He said one day I'd pay for embarrassing him. Elias leaned back. So you think he hired the guy who tried to strangle you? Gabriel's silence was answer enough. One of the guards stepped closer. We should move you to the safe house. No, Gabriel said instantly. If I leave, they'll think I'm afraid. That gives them power. With respect, sir, the guard insisted. You're vulnerable. Gabriel's gaze flicked to Elias. Not with him here. Elias blinked. Me, I'm not part of this. I helped because I was there. That's all. Gabriel's voice cracked in a way Elias didn't expect. That's not all. You saved my life, Elias. And now that man, or the people working for him, know your face. Elias went still. You think they'll come after me? Gabriel didn't sugarcoat it. I think you're already a loose end. The room felt colder. Despite the sun pouring through the windows, Elias knew violence. He knew the way enemies worked. Quietly, thoroughly, without mercy. The idea that a billionaire's private enemy might now see him as a problem. He inhaled slowly. I didn't ask for this. I know. Gabriel's voice was soft. But you stepped into my world when you saved me. And people like Victor don't forgive mistakes. Elias turned away, hands on his hips, mind racing. The warehouse interview. His attempt at rebuilding something simple. Gone in a moment he didn't regret, but one that now chained him to a danger he never wanted. He looked back at Gabriel. What exactly do you want from me? Gabriel hesitated. For now, stay here. Let my team protect you until we figure out why Victor struck today. Elias shook his head. I can't just hide inside a rich man's house. You're not hiding, Gabriel said firmly. You're staying alive. The guards exchanged uneasy glances. None of them argued. Finally, Elias sighed. One day. That's all I'm agreeing to. Gabriel nodded gratefully. One day. I promise. But promises made in fear were brittle. A few hours passed. The guards rotated shifts. The sun dipped lower, painting long shadows across the ivory floors. Elias sat near the edge of the living room, restless, scanning the windows like he was back on patrol. The stillness felt unnatural, too quiet, too staged. Gabriel paced near the staircase, his phone buzzing repeatedly. He ignored every call. "You should answer at least one," Elias said. Gabriel shook his head. "It's from someone I can't talk to right now." Elias studied him. "Someone you're afraid of?" Gabriel didn't answer. He just lowered the phone and whispered, "Someone who knows too much." Before Elias could press further, a guard rushed in. "Sir, we found something." They all followed him to the front of the house. A small envelope sat on the steps, left in plain sight. No one had opened it. Gabriel stared at it as if it were a bomb. Elias approached slowly. "No one saw who left it." "Cameras were scrambled for 7 seconds, the guard said. "Just 7. Elias lifted the envelope carefully. Inside was a single photograph of Elias walking down the street that morning. A message scrawled across the bottom in red ink. "You saved the wrong man." Elias felt the world tilt. Gabriel's face drained of color. "They're not just after me anymore," Gabriel whispered. "They're after you." Daylight spilled across the entryway, warm and indifferent. As Elias stared at the photo, a single snapshot that changed everything. The sun was still shining. The world was still calm. But Elias knew, with a cold certainty settling into his bones, the real war had just begun.